Sci-Spi.tv proudly presents Lighten Up Discussions with Global Thought Leaders on the Perspectives channel, hosted by me, Suzanne Ross. I'm delighted to introduce Reverend Dr. Kimberly Marooney, who will be one of our featured speakers at the Transcendence event, Transcending the Matrix in Sedona, Arizona, Saturday, September 28th through Sunday, September 29th. Please join us for this exciting event and stay tuned for my fascinating discussion with Reverend Dr. Kimberly Marooney. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. I am delighted to be here today with Reverend Dr. Kimberly Marooney. I am Suzanne Ross, and together we are here to present an extraordinary story of awakening. We share a parallel journey in that we both worked in the corporate world and found ourselves in the depth of suffering, which awakened us to the light of a new way, a higher way, aligned with our authentic selves and our true calling. Welcome, Kimberly, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here with you, Suzanne.
Your story is truly an extraordinary awakening, Kimberly, and I look forward to you sharing it with our audience because you are such a perfect example of awakening from suffering and aligning with your spiritual calling. And now you are a successful author, speaker, spiritual guide, healer. So why don't we start with your heartwarming story of transformation?
Well, I was a financial planner, and I was very young. I was one of the very first fee-based financial planners in California. And so my company sent me back east to Boston to learn how to do it, to get the education that I needed, to get the certifications that I needed. And when I came back, we launched this beautiful practice. So it was my job to write the financial plans for our clients. And we had a planning council of 6 people, 6 different experts. So we would meet, talk about the client's needs. I'd write up the plan. And at the end, I'd present it to this council to show them what we've done and just make sure everything was in there. So as time went on, I loved my job. I was very well paid. I was darling. I was young. I was really cute. I wore my pretty little silk suits. The red one was my favorite with these tight little mini skirts and my big stiletto heels. And I had my little briefcase I'd bring to work with me every day. Life was really good. I enjoyed it. I was a newlywed. I had this wonderful husband. We had this beautiful new home in the country that was built just for me. I had my new Mercedes-Benz. Life was really wonderful. But then my feet started to hurt. And my feet hurt so badly that I eventually had to quit wearing those really cute high heels and wear flat shoes, which I thought was like the end of life for sure. But I did it. I accommodated. I moved on. So then I started to have stomach issues, and my stomach hurt so bad I couldn't find anything that I could eat that didn't hurt. And it hurt so bad that those cute, tight little skirts were just pressing, and I had to abandon them, accommodate again, and move on to kind of baggy clothes that I thought was certain fashion death. But anyway, I was able to accommodate and move on. Then I started to get these horrible headaches. So now my feet hurt, my stomach hurt. I'm getting these horrible headaches, cluster migraines, for those of you who know what they are. They're the kind that people, blow their brains out because they're so awful. They're the kind where the only thing you can do is go to the hospital and have a knockout shot and some steroids, and hopefully when you wake up the next day, you'll be okay. So this is what I'm battling with in my everyday life. So after one particularly horrific, painful weekend, I got into work on Monday morning. I got out our plan because it was time to present a new plan to the council to make sure everything was good before we send it out to the client. I get up there in front of the table. I've got all these eyes looking at me, got the plan in my hands. I'm looking at the pages, and I cannot read a word that's on the page. I could recognize the letters, I could recognize the numbers, but I couldn't put them together into a meaning to save my life. So I just laid the plan down on the table open. I said, we did a really good job on this plan, didn't we? We all know what's in there. Great, let's send it on out. Left the room, being able to adjust the way I can. I'm adaptable. And went into my boss and said, I'm really not feeling well. I need to go home. So I went out on disability. And because I was a financial planner, I had a good disability plan. But they wouldn't pay me until a doctor could figure out what was wrong. So for the next 2 years, I went to about a dozen different doctors, jumping from one to the other, trying to figure out why I was in such pain, why I was suffering so much. That was my first inkling where I discovered that I'm really a pioneer. I'm on the edge of things. I get stuff before anybody else does. I get stuff before they know what it is. So eventually, 2 years in, I went to this doctor who was supposed to be this young hotshot diagnostician, and he was a jerk. And finally, after a couple of visits, he'd say stuff like, "Well, have you considered psychiatry?" And finally, he said to me, the last thing he said to me was, "Everybody has a bad day." And I looked at him and I said, it took me a week to grovel up the energy to drive here to see you today. And after I make it home, it's going to take me another 3 weeks to recover from this wonderful time we've had together, so that I could at least get up and cook for myself and maybe be able to survive another week after that. And he didn't quite know what to do with me. So he flipped this business card at me in a way that was just really meaningless and insignificant, like, go away. I rub off onto somebody else. So I put this card in my purse and I went home, and a little bit more time passed. I was lying on my sofa. It was a particularly bad day. Light hurt my eyes, so I had a pillow over my face. Sound hurt. I couldn't read. I'd forgotten how to read. Really, all I could do was lie on the couch and pray. So here I was this one day praying. This prayer came into my heart that was, at the time I had no idea where it came from. It was one of those scary prayers that we're afraid to say because of the consequences of it. And the prayer was, "Lord, I don't care what happens to this body. All that matters to me is that I feel your love right now." I poured every ounce of my physical strength into that prayer, my emotional strength, my mental presence, my spiritual presence. I think it was the first time in my life I was able to completely invest all of myself in this prayer. I don't care what happens. All that matters is that I feel your love right now. The ceiling opened up in my house, and the angelic host, the heavenly host, the host came into my living room with me. Millions of beings. To my little human mind, it was really strange because I could see millions of beings. And I could also simultaneously feel them. I could tell that I personally knew them, that we were deeply and intimately and personally connected, that we had this love that was remarkable. In this exchange of love, as they held me in this love, the pain went away completely. For the first time in years, I was completely pain-free. I was immersed in this amazing presence of love. And the most important thing was I felt completely worthy, that just being who I am was enough. It wasn't about what I could do or what I knew. Just simply being made me worthy of this love. As we were communicating in this love, I received, I'm going to call it an invitation to co-create a bridge to spirit. Those were the words that came into my knowing, a bridge to spirit. And of course I said yes, because I would have done anything to stay in that love. And of course my little mind is saying, you can hardly get up and walk to the bathroom. You can't do anything. And I was able to just shoo that away as if it was a fly. And with my whole being say yes. The pain was permanently gone after that. And I was able to start to breathe again, to open my eyes again. About a week after that, I felt compelled to find that business card that the doctor had thrown at me. I dug it out of my purse. I called him up. I looked at it, and it was for an oncologist. And I thought, well, this is weird. I don't have cancer, but I called the card. I had to call this number. Okay. Made an appointment, and I went in. So on the door, it said oncology, hematology. I didn't know what hematology was, but I went in. They took some blood. I sat down. Doctor called me into the office, and he said, "Bet you're not feeling very well, are you?" And I said, "No." He said, "I bet you feel like you're about dead, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm looking at your blood report here, and you've got about a third of the blood in your body that you should actually have," which explained why my brain had shut down. My body was on absolute survival. You don't need cognitive skills for the body to live. So everything that was unnecessary was shut down to just survive in my body. And so he was able to quickly diagnose what was wrong with me. It was a new disease that they just recognized. And so he was able to start treating it. And within about a year, it took about another year for my cognitive abilities to come back. I could start reading again. The funny part was it took about 10 years for me to be able to do math again, which meant that I was not able to return to financial planning. It was like this beautiful setup. I can read, but no more numbers for a long time. I can do math again now, thankfully.
Spirit works in such incredibly magical, mystical, miraculous ways, doesn't it? Blocking you from any chance of returning to financial planning. The one thing you can't do is numbers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So but Spirit offered you a miracle healing so that you could go do something else.
Right, that miracle healing. So I'm going to call this the emergence. So it's the emergence of a new way of living for me, a new part of my being. And so the angels came to me from anywhere from a week to a month to infuse me with the quality of their energy, to help me get to know them personally, to understand them, so that when they're around, I can feel them. So I know from that experience who's around by how they feel, and sometimes by how I see them. And so this bridge to spirit became my best-selling Angel Blessings cards. It took me 4 years to create it because I was in such poor physical condition when I started. But these angels came to me in such beautiful ways that it was just wonderful. And so we healed together. I realized as I was working with them that it was the angel of surrender who helped me surrender to that deep prayer, and the angel of prayer who helped me pray that prayer. And then Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing, who guided me through healing. And so one at a time, these beautiful beings just came forward and helped me on my healing path, helped me to understand who they were and how they're here to help us, and taught me how to create this bridge to spirit so that people can awaken around me, so that they can see more clearly their divine visions, so that they can recognize their divine plan, so that they can come into harmony with themselves and their spirit life. So it was just an amazingly beautiful adventure.
It's so remarkable, Kimberly, because for the audience, just prior to us engaging in this discussion, I shared with her that since we had spoken a couple of days ago, I have had these revelations about these projects that I've been envisioning and formulating for years, but not clear on how they are meant to roll out. And I spoke to her 2 days ago, and between then and now have had such clarity about my divine missions, my divine purpose, just like those cards represent. And I told her that I truly felt like I received an angelic blessing from her during our conversation that facilitated these awakenings, these revelations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, as you invited me to come to the Transcending the Matrix, which got me thinking about what does spirit, what do the angels want me to share with people? So I was looking at my new book, the little book of Angel Healing, First Aid from the Heavenly Realms, and thinking, what is it that really wants to be experienced? And 3 words stood out for me: emergence, activation, and initiation. So what happens is there's an emergence of a new energy that wants to come in. We're aware of it, we feel it, we start to get visions. Then there's an activation. The activation makes it real. We begin to manifest it in the world. We start to see the details. The people start to show up. Everything starts to come into place. The activation is the manifestation of it. And then as it is manifesting, as we are sharing it in the world, we go through an initiation, which takes us to a much higher state of being within ourselves, from the experience of witnessing how our work is serving others, and witnessing the potency, the brilliancy, the beauty, the love, the joy that's in our work, brings us into a new initiation, a new level of being within ourselves.
I love the combination of emerging, activating, and initiating, because I have personally experienced for myself and observed so many of my friends and colleagues this process where there is an emergence. It is emerging. It's almost like a rebirth, an awakening where you're reborn into your true self, into your divine self, where you do start having visions that are aligned with your true calling, the authentic expression of your creative self in the world as a creator being. And then the activation, because it's certainly a process of activating that divine spark within every cell of your being that empowers you and gives you the confidence and the courage. And then finally, the initiation, which for me feels like the clarity.
Yes, yes. So we have, I'm sure everybody who's listening has had these moments of epiphany, these amazing moments of awakening, where it seems like the earth moved, mountains moved, everything has changed. And then we go home and all of our old problems are still there. What do we do about that? How do we bring this energy of awakening, this energy of enlightenment from the emergence through the activation stage and into the initiation where it's integrated in who we are, it's integrated in our life? How do we do that?
That's
the
so
million-dollar
true.
question.
It is. It's so true. And in the spiritual community, we talk about 3D and 5D, right? But it's just a way of really saying, you know, there is this concept of living in this 3D matrix of duality and separation and suffering, and also that it's an illusion. And this 3D experience can be valuable because it can teach you lessons that can only be learned through duality and separation and suffering. But many of us are awakening now to recognize that it is a matrix, an illusion, and that we can ascend out of that and come in to unity, harmony, peace, joy, wellness, and we no longer need to learn through separation and suffering, that we're ready to emerge into a higher way of living and being in unity, peace, and harmony.
Oh, beautifully said, beautifully said. You mentioned a key component, and that's community. So we can't do this alone. We can only expand and grow and go through these activations into initiation in communities of like-minded souls, of kindred souls, where we support this consciousness being birthed. We need community. We need to come together in groups. The angels are always telling me, you need to connect in larger and larger groups. Get your groups together. Bring the smaller groups together into larger groups, because within that is an infusion of power that can come in and elevate us all to the next higher level, where we can then get activated and work through that into the next initiation, which brings us into more and more beautiful states of consciousness, which result in more functionality in life. So the more we awaken, the more grounded and functional we become in life. It's a beautiful system.
That certainly is. And thank you for talking about being grounded, because we talk about the angelic hosts, right? The heavenly hosts and the angels and transcendence and ascending and higher dimensional. And it's always like looking up, right? Like there's something higher, and there certainly is. But we have work to do down here. And it's why we came here. It's why we descended onto this foundation. Lovely Mother Gaia providing us this foundation for our service to humanity. And grounding into the heart of Mother Earth is just as important as connecting with the angelic hosts.
I'm so happy that you said that, because the ascension arc of the ascension process, the awakening process, is in many ways the easiest part. It's the descension. So we ascend, we go up, we get all the goodies, but then we need to bring those goodies back. We need to descend with all the goodies back to here. We need to bring them back here and learn how to reside simultaneously in our third dimensional physical life that we live here on Earth in our physical bodies, but simultaneously in that fifth or higher dimensional space where we have access to all of the benefits, the blessings, the energy, the wisdom, the knowing, the omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence of the divine, simultaneously living physically on the world, on the earth. That's the descension arc. So as we go through these initiations, the first 4 initiations are elevating in spirit, and then by the 5th initiation, when we are anchored in source, then we begin to descend with that source energy back down to our little earth body, our earth life, with that treasure trove of goodness accessible to us in daily life. And that's when the magic happens. That's when the fireworks go off. That's when life gets really interesting.
And just like everyone else who descends onto this earth plane and volunteers for a 3D incarnation here, we have the veil of forgetting. And it's only when that veil is lifted so that we can remember exactly who we are as divine beings in service, then our mission can get activated and we can receive the initiation.
I'm so happy you said that, because I went through a period of my own awakening battling with that veil. And it would be like one minute I could remember and the next minute I'd forget. And I would even forget that I had forgotten. And so what I ended up doing was I got this big finger painting pad of paper. Kids, it was like 17 by 20 or something, these big pads of paper. And I wrote these big signs to myself in huge block letters, reminding me of whatever it was. I wish I could remember one right now. It's been quite a long time. But I put these big signs on the floor because I was going through these rapid shifts, just dizzyingly. So I had these big signs all over the floor for myself, reminding me, so that, I'd know I'd forget. I'd know I'd forget. I'd know I'd forget. And all I had to do when I forgot was look down at the floor, and I would be reminded.
I love
So,
that.
Tools of the trade.
Yes. I mean, if I could walk you into my bedroom, even my office here, it's like I have signs everywhere.
Yep.
My bedroom walls are completely covered in thumbtacks, holding up messages to myself, pictures of the angels.
There is peace within me. Yeah, that's the best one I have right here. Yep.
Right. But I am here to bring my legacy of love. I have that sign in my room. I am that I am. I am love. I am light. It's just written all over the walls to remind me every day when I wake up. It's the first thing I see. So it's very helpful to be reminded on a daily basis of exactly who we are as spiritual beings in service. And it's really what this upcoming event is all about. I had an event here in Sedona in the spring equinox called Beyond the Matrix. Now this event during the fall equinox, Transcending the Matrix. And it is all about unity consciousness, because I really do feel that it's necessary for us to transcend beyond the matrix of separation and duality into this beautiful expression of unity consciousness, where together we can.
We have to do this together. We can't do it alone. And as we connect, our genius ignites the genius in each other. So you were telling me that after our first call, you started to get clarity on all these ideas you've had. That's that spark of genius. My genius ignites yours, your genius ignites mine. And when we come together for a conference or a group or these gatherings, these beautiful gatherings transcending the matrix, we are able to look into each other's eyes. We're able to see a new part of ourselves reflected back from others. We're able to see a deeper part of them. We're able to find deep, soulful connections with one another, because we are really soul family reuniting. And from that, we are able to take this amazing new insight about ourselves, our lives, our community connections back home and into our lives there for amazing experiences of transcending, of healing, of opening up, and of initiation. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much for that. I have definitely noticed that. Starting with my knight in shining armor, who I met right after my divine intervention, who is the love of my life. We are always inspired to be better for each other. It's like bringing out the best in each other. And I think that is such a divine compliment when you want to be, you make me a better person, And when I moved to Sedona, I met my sacred sister, Shakina Rose, who sings the language of light so angelically. And when we met, it was like this divine spark. And we discovered we could do telepathic meditation when we went out on the Red Rocks together. And as we did, these ideas, these epiphanies would just come out of both of us as we recognized what our co-creative, collaborative mission was. And it was all about bringing this television series, Supernatural Sedona, to life with, language of light music and sacred geometry symbols, and just, creating a series where people could feel into the vortex energy of supernatural Sedona. And in doing so, be elevated, be activated, be initiated into this crystal city of light, but it all came about because we activated each other and we knew it, and I knew it. And I've been saying that same thing for years since then. We activate each other.
We do. We do activate each other. We need each other.
And in these conferences that I have, in these gatherings, I get on stage, and one of the things that I inspire the audience to do is to look at each other and know that you are looking at God.
Mm-hmm.
Activating the divine within.
Yes. Yes.
As we activate the divine spark in each other.
Yes.
That's what creation is all about, right? Ever since the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, when the one great self awoke from the infinite sea of pure consciousness, what did that first thought do but reflect upon itself and create an image of itself, right? And in that recognition, it's like a spark of recognition was illuminated. And here you have Mother, Father, God, and Holy Spirit, the mother, father, child right then and there. And it's just, it's about reflecting on each other. And when you're going through a period, and I know for myself, I went through a period just at the end of last year. I'll be transparent. I am in my 55th year. I will have my 55th birthday on September 10th. And this is really a year of transformation that began in November with a case of shingles. And I got shingles so bad, the whole left side of my face was covered in blisters. My eyeball was covered in blisters. It was swollen shut. I could do nothing for 3 months. And except lay in bed and listen to audiobooks. I listened to Paul Selig's whole Mastery trilogy, which was phenomenal. I spent a lot of time in the other realms and dimensions because I couldn't work. I mean, this is one of these things that spirit does. What do? I edit videos, host events, and write books. Like I couldn't do any of that. I was bedridden. But I recognized that it had a greater meaning and purpose because I was running around frantically at the time. I had 4 computers on. One, I was uploading social media. Another, I was downloading videos. Another, I was editing videos. Another, I was doing emails. And I would run from computer to computer in this frantic, chaotic, and it seemed like nothing was really coming out of it, it was busy, but there wasn't any major successes. And I had some people come visit, and what they were reflecting back to me was that I wasn't good enough yet, and that my perspectives weren't worthy, and they were argumentative, and I would present my perspective, and they would say, that's not it, and you're not right, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I just got all of this, and I knew it wasn't them necessarily. It was how I was feeling about myself. They left, and I got the shingles and was bedridden. And when I came out of that, I felt more like a master, because you don't imagine an enlightened master running around frantically. You imagine an enlightened master sitting in confident ease and grace, and moving through their day in divine synchronicity, in this harmonic symphony as they gracefully move from this to that, creatively, harmoniously, with ease and grace. And then you're in divine synchronicity. And since then, the people I encounter tell me that what I am doing and achieving is remarkable and brilliant and ingenious, and I am in service, and my books are, helping them in powerful, positive ways, and my events are changing their lives. And I'm like, wow. Now what I'm hearing back is more reflective of who I became after the shingles experience. And I do feel much more seated in a confident way of creative expression and with more ease and grace, and things are now flourishing. And yes.
It's hard to trust when we go through these interesting experiences of retooling, a recalibration, like your experience with shingles, where you're just confined to bed for a while. And then when we get through to the other side, it becomes clear how brilliant spirit is in economically achieving an objective. So you were able to get through in just 3 months what may have taken you years in your busy life to accomplish. So it was like a monopoly, a go back to go. It was a reset.
Yes. And it was hard to believe it at the time. Shingles is one of the most excruciatingly painful things you can get. Yeah. It was like someone had a hot poker in my eye.
Doesn't that suffering drive you deep?
Yes.
That pain drives us deep within, because there's nowhere else to go unless we numb out.
Yep. I was in
we can knock ourselves
position.
up with drugs, but yeah.
I mean, it was like I went to the doctor and said, I am in excruciating pain, and no one has ever offered to give me any pain medication. I can't take it anymore. I'm at my wit's end. I'm ODing on Advil just to keep it at bay. And my eye doctor said, well, you know what? I'll give you this little prescription. I can't remember what it was. I took one and I felt spaced out. I felt soupy and yucky. And I thought, okay, that's not it. That's not it. I'm not taking pain meds. And my husband felt so bad. He was trying everything, emu oil for the blisters and eye drops. And he finally came home with 1,200 milligrams CBD.
That can work.
It worked well enough just to cut it. Like I just needed something to take the edge off the excruciating, sharp pain, you know? And then the CBD had other effects too, because it's a nerve condition. It's like blisters on your nerve roots is what shingles is. And so not only do you feel this intense pain, but your nerves are on edge. Your nerves feel completely rawed out. You know, it was remarkable. And so it also soothed my nerves. It also calmed the nerves, you know, so yeah. Anyways, awakening from suffering. This is what we're talking about. This is our theme. And I am so incredibly delighted, Kimberly, that you are going to be presenting at our Transcending the Matrix event. I saw you on an incredible documentary, The Illumined Ones, and I knew right then and there that we had a heart-to-heart connection. As we've been talking, we've been discovering parallels on our paths, and it's just so meant to be. It's in divine order and in divine alignment. So thank you for responding to the call.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So when I was going through that healing experience, and in many subsequent spiritual epiphanies and awakening experiences I've had, the angels gave me some wonderful gifts, or they awakened some wonderful gifts in me that came from my true being that were there all along, really. That's how it happens, really. And one of those gifts is to help people feel their angels, not just have some idea that they're out there, but to intimately, personally, deeply feel the presence of their angels in a way that helps them to heal. So an angel healing is really a personal experience of divinity. When we can, through our angels or through our true self or through Holy Spirit, whatever the words are that touch your soul, when we can have that personal experience of divinity, we talked about awakening divinity, that's actually right here on my desk, activate your divinity. When we can activate our divine being is already whole, it's already healthy, it's already perfect. and then bring that blueprint or that imprint of wholeness, of health, simultaneously from the higher realms into the third dimension, into our physical body, we can experience miraculous instant healing. We can experience miraculous instant resolution of issues in life. We can experience amazing visions and clarity in the dreams or the plans that have been put into our heart from spirit, from our true being. So it's coming together like this, awakening our divinity together, experiencing ourselves as we truly are, as the divine master selves we are, even beyond our souls. Experiencing our master self and imprinting that state of being into our physical body and our physical life, bringing it down into, we talked about the descending arc, bringing it down into the cells and the atoms and the fluid, bringing it down through our feet into the chair we're sitting in, the floor, the structure of the building that we're in, sending it down into Mother Earth. That is such an amazing experience of descending spirit into matter. That's what we'll be doing there.
Thank you so much for that. Allowing the love and the light of Source to pour into our crown and down through our energetic beings, into the earth, into the inner earth, into Mother Gaia's heart, and then radiating it out through the crystalline matrix of the inner earth, activating the ley
the 12 crystals in our bodies, through all the beauty, all of the networks, all of the systems that are in place that are being activated now as we're activating ourselves and we're activating the matrix on the planet, the networks on the planet. Beautiful things are going to start to happen. Well, they already are. Beautiful things are happening.
Beautiful things are happening. I like to say, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. Yes.
And events like this, bringing incredibly inspiring and empowering speakers like yourself and all of the other speakers that we have coming to this event, and then inviting the Unity community to join us. It's really a powerful way to activate the consciousness grid. Wayne Dyer used to say, if 10 people pray, 1,000 people receive healing. And so when we gather a couple hundred people and we come together to engage in powerful activations, initiations, meditations, rejoicing, it can activate the matrix for hundreds of thousands of people as we really send that love and light across the ley lines.
Can't wait. It's already happening. I can feel the energy already.
Oh, thank you for that. And the other day you told me that there were 900 angels that were already participating and helping with this event.
No, that was just you. That was just you. Okay, Let me tap into the event. That was just you.
Wow.
So today you have 927 angels helping you. And for the event, there are 44,273 angels helping us.
Well, I have to write this down. 927 and 4,400 and
44,723, was it? 723?
Wow.
44,723.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much for that, my dear. Thank you for all that you do to serve in such a beautiful, angelic way. I really look forward to
So viewers, one of those angels is for you.
Yes.
One of those angels is coming to you to help you in your life. That's why there are so many.
Beautifully expressed. We invite each and every one of you to join us for this holy transformational event, this spiritual gathering right here in the Crystal City of Light, Sedona. Just go to scispi.tv/events and register now. And we look forward to seeing you here in Sedona. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Kimberly Marooney.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure and honor to be here with you, Suzanne.
Many blessings to all. Namaste.